Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 17th episode of Kokoon and the second for 2024. And I'm so delighted to have Angela from Transcend Healing as my special guest for episode 17. Welcome, Angela. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Karen. I'm looking forward to today. Thank you.
Excellent. So I've got quite a few questions for you. And as with any good story, because I'd love to hear your story, I like to start at the beginning. It seems like a logical place to start. So tell me, how did your journey begin with you working in the wellness space?
Oh, well, so my business itself is coming up to 3 years old, but my personal journey, so I've always been involved in, and it's one of my key values, is about learning, growing, healing, being better, so physically, mentally, and emotionally. So I don't know, the first time I ever did anything sort of in that realm, I was in my 20s. I'm 50 now, so it's a very, very long time ago. And one other, as I went on my journey, I also usually automatically stepped up and was a leader and was being of service. So as I shared, learned, I then started to impart my wisdom, and then I learned from others. So I've been doing that for a very, very long time. So I'm trained in NLP as well, and that was another thing that I started to bring. I've had some health challenges over the years, and so I'm always open to sharing, my journey with that, and some of that will come out today because that's some of my tips on how to keep yourself, at the best. I've done some masculine feminine work because I really wanted to understand that for myself. So probably my biggest passion is to assist women, because I had a corporate job and I actually got burnt out. And so there's just so many things that, as I've learned, and I just naturally am someone who wants to give and share and help others. So it's just been a natural evolution, really. I've wanted to own my own business, helping people for a very, very long time, but I only kind of took the big plunge. I tried a few years ago, but wasn't ready. Sometimes you're just not ready. But yeah, about 2010 I tried. But I just wasn't ready. I didn't have all the resources that I needed yet to be able to express myself and make a difference and kind of be grounded in what was my message. And then, just over 3 years ago, it was actually when I discovered the spinal flow technique, because I'm a practitioner in that. It just brought together and was like a foundation thing for me to go, all right, this is now how I can help others, really help others. Yeah.
Yeah, and tell me about Transcend Healing. So, what sort of services do you offer, and what sort of people do you help?
So I am purely a spinal flow practitioner practice. That's what is Transcend Healing. I'm called Transcend Healing because I'm all about that you can transcend beyond where you are mentally, physically, and emotionally. And one of the key things for me is really understanding how all that gets caught in our body. And if we can't have our body flow, it doesn't matter what we try to do spiritually, what we try to do everywhere in our life, whether or not it's a new job or a new work environment, you need to be able to have that harmony, and it's the vehicle that we have what we're trying to navigate on the planet. So that's what I offer as spinal flow. And obviously then there's other things that I, support my clients in based on whatever they might be dealing with, or recommend that they maybe need to enhance themselves mentally, or, supporting themselves. What was the other question you asked me?
What sort of people do you help?
So it is actually all kinds of people. I probably have a mix of more women than men, but my experience is because I feel that women are a bit more open to things, whereas men seem to leave things a little bit to the side, if that makes sense. So I've got some people who have some, illnesses that they've got to either manage their whole life. So I've got people with some Crohn's, I've got some spondylosis, I've got things with inflammation in their bodies that they for the rest of their life they really need to be keeping themselves well. Then I've got other people that are in a real transition and their body is hurting or emotionally it's impacting their wellness. So again, they could be in pain, but they just know that they're not being all of them. So it really is a good combination of many things. Usually below everything though is the emotional stuff, because all the emotional stuff that we take on, no matter what change we're trying to make in our lives, is the thing that seems to get us caught up. And that's one thing that I love about spinal flow, is it helps your body process and move through blockages. So there's no really one hard fast person that I help, but it's really people who are wanting to be healthier, more vibrant, wanting more from their life, and are looking for either the next thing. Some people are at their weekend, or they're just like, no, I know that my body's clever and they want something natural, which is what spinal flow is. So yeah.
And so, look, you're a mum and you have your own business, and so
I'm not a mum. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry, I thought you were.
I am an auntie. I've got nieces and nephews from 30 now. And I have been a mum briefly.
Well, I'm not a mum either, so but you lead a busy life versus what you mean. You don't have to be a mum to lead a busy life. Like, trust me, I know that. So, with all the things that you have to do, running your own business and maintaining some sort of, I guess, social life outside of managing everything else. How do you maintain your own energy level so that you can do that as well as give your best to your clients?
Yeah. So first thing I'll say is it's always a work in progress. You never fully arrive there. And the things that I'm going to share, just because I say that I know that they're good to do, doesn't mean that I'm the best at doing them all the time. So often I've got to stop, and that's one of the things that I actually recommend, is that you've got to stop and you've got to feel into how you're feeling. And if you feel like everything's a little bit crazy and all over the shop, or you're just like, I'm just pushing it, or, it's like you feel a little bit out of control, then you got to stop and have a look. So some of the things that I do, and most of it's learnt over the years, and I've got some really wonderful things that I bring and support me. So you need a really good understanding, and I'll call it your network, but it's your personal network that is really there to help you personally with stuff. It's different than having a business network or your social network. It's the ones who really resonate with your values and the things that that support you. So I've got some spiritual practices that I do that I've learnt with Living Illumination. I'm actually a consultant for them as well. So there's a book that they've got called The Constitution of Your Soul, and a lot of their practices help you energetically. So they help you with your aura, they help you understand your energy, other people's energy, how to cut energy, how to even sometimes heal energy that you feel like in yourself. So that's one of the things that I go to pretty regularly, and I've got a very good support network around me if I need support with that. So that's one thing. And that's probably one of the biggest ones spiritually that's changed my life, that actually helped me be able to step up and start living my gifts. Yeah. Nature's very important. So, and that could be sometimes a walk. Sometimes that might just be going out to little pot plants. I've got a couple of herbs and things in my garden, watering them, tending them, just keeping an eye on them, making sure that they're maintained and just, enjoying that. I always love, and it's nice that I'm in Queensland and I can do this, I love sitting out under my pergola in the morning, having my breakfast, listening to the birds or watching the rain or whatever's happening, because it allows me to connect. So that's very important for me. I don't usually, some people go for morning walks. I'm not really a morning walk person. I rather like to go more in the evening or the afternoon. But but that's one of my things that I find that if I don't do, you know, it's like it slows you down and gets you present to your day. But routine is also very important. So as a business owner in particular, having a routine and being prepared, sort of making sure that things are a bit structured in your day, well, very structured in your day. It's very important to know when you're seeing clients, when you're doing, you know, other things for your business, making sure you've got your lunch taken care of and your dinner taken care of. It's very important to do that. And I've done that probably nearly my whole life. And I find that if that starts to go out, then I know that I'm kind of just managing. It gives you the freedom to take care of yourself while you're busy. What else? So in my free time, so I can be very good at getting myself distracted. So I can, you know, might get caught up in business stuff, or we might talk about social media later. It can be a vortex that we get caught in. So one of the things that I've learned is that when I have my day that's to me, that I need to put a little bit of structure around it, but also keep it open structure. So make sure I've got a couple of appointments that I need to be at and do. As in for me personally, it might just be taking myself to breakfast sometimes, or making myself go for a walk, or going to I'm seeing doing like hydro physio at the moment. So making sure I've got that appointment out there. But then in between, allowing myself to flow and just allow myself to be, because if I don't have those times when I've got that free time to just sort of, you know, and I might end up just going for a walk through some shops and just browsing. It's really important to allow myself that time where I can just allow that kind of nothingness, because otherwise all the other times we're just on. I'm trying to think. That's probably my and as a spinal flow practitioner, so my first place for self-care is always spinal flow. So I'm always recommending it to my clients, and I have mine booked in regularly. At the moment, I'm having spinal flow every week because it helps with our stress. It helps us manage things. It helps us get out of our heads. It helps us let go of anything that's in the way. It helps your body function better. So, you know, if you've got some ailments, you're thinking things aren't working very well. So that is a regular thing that I have in my life as well. So there's some of the things. Obviously, everyone's going to have their own variation of that. But I found that you need that combination of making sure that you've got some structure around things, but also some time to just be and connect.
Yeah. No, I like that idea of sort of balancing those. It's really good and super helpful. And my other question is around sort of that sort of soothing yourself after. I don't know if you, in your business, if you have some times of the year that are intensely busy, or I mean, for me, sometimes it's like when I'm, you know, working on a book or something and I'm going to lock myself away for a week and just work like a maniac. But then after that, I need to do some things to help soothe myself and get back to normal, because it's quite an intense time. So yes. Do you have those busy periods? And if so, do you have any sort of practices or things that you do to sort of, I guess, recover from those times?
Yeah. So as a practitioner in spinal flow, it's actually a very giving and receiving, because we're working with the body's intelligence and our own their intelligence, and our own intelligence gets involved. So it's really the innate intelligence of the body. So it's very rare that after having a busy day with spinal flow that I may have I don't usually have taken something on, but I've just had a big day. So my first thing is, and I love living in Caloundra for this reason, I go for a walk along the Caloundra Reserve, like the water there, and I take in the sun. I make sure I don't have my phone, and I take in and be with and allow my day to process and get my body moving and enjoy. You know, sometimes it's really windy, sometimes it's a little bit warm, sometimes I get to see the beautiful sunset. But that's one of the first things I do, because I've got to kind of complete my day, and it's like a separation from then going, how do I turn off? And I do that too if I've had a really kind of busy, when I'm trying to do a lot of different stuff in my business, and I'm a bit stuck or been in my head too much. There's the first place I'll go to is get myself out and go for the walk, so that I'm disconnecting and allowing myself to be in and take in what's around me. So that's probably my first go-to. And then depending on how I'm feeling, there'd be a few other things I'm doing. If I do feel like that I've got a bit of energy that I've taken on, then I would do some of those practices that I shared about from Living Illumination, which help me cleanse my energy. If I feel like I'm feeling rather emotional or heavy and things like that, there's things there to help kind of come back to me and cleanse my energy field around me. And sometimes, and then I talk about the free time, and then going, I need to do nothing now, and then going, do I need to watch a movie? Do I need to go to bed early? Do I need to just allow that time of it's okay to do kind of nothing?
Yeah, I think doing nothing is so underrated. I think that this idea that you have to. I mean, I'm very, I'm busy, but there are times where I just am like, no, I need some time just to do nothing, just to look at TikToks and relax.
And the thing is that they can be guilt with it. Like sometimes I struggle with it. I'm like, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing that. But then you kind of need to. Like you have to. You got to do something that just allows you to turn off and just be and just.
And I think too, it actually helps to rejuvenate you. You do a better job if you do have some times where you're not constantly thinking about what you have to be doing.
That's right.
And so on this sort of topic of wellness and things to keep you sort of on track, what do you wish you knew at the beginning of your career that what would you have told yourself at the beginning about how to maintain your own wellness now that you're working in the industry?
Yeah. So I was reflecting on this question because, when I think of, there's no way I could have been a health practitioner if I didn't know everything that I knew to allow me to be a health practitioner. So I'm going to reflect on more when I think of my career, on my corporate career. And that was full on. I worked in a big bank, and it was full on. So it is this, and I'll call it body work. When I discovered something very similar to spinal flow, and I didn't understand what it was at the time, but it changed my life. It helped me resolve. It's like melt away all this stress that I'd been taking on mentally, physically, and emotionally from the current stage that came from childhood. That is my key, and that is why I'm a spinal flow practitioner, because it was a missing piece for me. I was doing all these personal development things, and a lot of that felt very, in your head, in action, and it's kind of just push. And I'm trying to think differently. But when I got access to this body work that allows you to kind of, it's like integrate and be free and allow the body to move and process better, that was the key for me. That things that were chronic I used to get chronic back pain and neck pain. I used to always have to have my desk modified at work. Since I was a kid, I'd seen chiros and people would massage my neck, and it was just, and then I'd be given exercises to try to strengthen my back. But it wasn't until I discovered the work that connected the emotional and the physical and even the chemical stress in my body that I actually started to thrive. And now I'm also able to understand and catch it before it took me out. Whereas, I used to just be told it was how I sat or how I concentrated or what I did. So that is a real key thing. That is a real key thing for me. And because I didn't realize too that some of my childhood experiences of feeling like I didn't fit in at school and stuff like that were actually still impacting me. And by connecting in and doing this work that helps your body resolve that, so it's not impacting your nervous system anymore, really helped me flourish. And it's how I stay on track. It is key. It's the one thing I always go to.
And before you mentioned social media, and I mentioned TikTok, but so as we know, social media can be a real trap in sort of, I guess, sucking your attention and getting, posting. I mean, you need to be visible on there now. It's really hard run a business successfully without having that. It's just, you know, part of your marketing toolkit. But on the flip side of that, it's very easy, very time consuming, and can be very easy to get sucked in, particularly if you've posted something and you want to keep looking to see how it's going and things like that, those little traps. So how do you navigate sort of using social media personally and for your business while still maintaining your own wellness?
Yeah. So social media, I call it the vortex.
Well, it's true.
Because you literally can get sucked in, and a couple of hours later, you're like, what was I doing when I came here? So there's many things I do. First of all, I'll tell you about a couple of the things I have on my phone at the end of the day. So it locks my phone down. It shuts down Facebook. Like, I've got to force it open. It shuts down Facebook, and it shuts down my emails to stop me accidentally sitting there and doing something mindless. You know, I talked about doing something mindless before, but I found that mindless Facebook wasn't really a clue. So that is one thing I do to help myself shut down at the end of the day. From a business perspective, so I'm still learning about how to be a great poster and stuff like that. So I try to use as many resources as I can. What I find as a business owner, the biggest challenge is not comparing yourself, and that you get caught in, and you try to understand what others are doing, and then you think, well, why should we be doing better? And then you just kind of, and then it causes this spiral down of you feeling really, really crap, actually.
Yeah.
That is, I've found the hardest thing with a business owner. Now, I know that can happen to you as well, just in your personal life, because you watch lots of stuff and you compare, and it's not real. As much as people try to say that stuff on social media is real, it's only a snippet in time. And most of the time, they're going to show you the nice rosy thing, and then there's probably the 90% of the rest of the time it's probably not so rosy. So I've learned to check in with how I'm feeling pretty regularly, and if I'm feeling like it's pulling me down, I know that it's like, you've got to stop doing this. It's just serving me. And I've also learned to then come back to me and my values and what's important to me, and go, well, hang on, like, what do I do well? What does, do I really want to be like that? No, I don't. So what's my message? So I find I have to actively bring myself back to my core and remember who I am. Because there's always somebody out there doing something better or amazing and that kind of stuff. So I personally, it's probably one of the biggest challenges I find that I've got to be on top of. Yeah.
It's so true. And what is that saying? Comparison is the thief of joy. So and it's so true. So there's I mean, anything you're going to compare, like, it's more that, okay, that looks good, maybe that's something I can take on board, but not going, oh, there's so much better than me. Like, it doesn't, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So
what you're saying about comparing and then saying maybe take that on board, but also do a reality check and go, well, is it actually you? Yes, it might be actually really wonderful and you love what they're doing.
Yeah.
Then is there something about that you could reflect yourself in, or is it that you need to just go, wow, I love what they're doing, but you know what, that's not me.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's right. It's about being like using it for inspiration, but not but only if it aligns with yourself.
That's right. So I often share those wonderful people on Facebook because I'm inspired by what they do, because I'm like, I can't do that, and I don't think I would feel comfortable doing that.
And look at you now, you're on a live stream. So that's amazing. And so I wanted to ask you, so of course, keeping the confidentiality of your clients.
Yeah.
What was one of the most inspirational breakthroughs or transformations you've experienced with one of your clients through Transcend Healing?
So obviously there's lots. There was one that was coming to mind. So look, I often get some older women who are in a transition in their life. And I had one lady come to me who'd been in a marriage for 30 to 40 years. She's got 20-year-old children. And she'd recently decided to leave the marriage. And I met her at an expo, which is where I usually meet people. I offer free assessments at expos for people to understand their body. And she just was drawn. She just knew that because spinal flow works on physical, chemical, and emotional stress, she just knew that I could support her. So she would come and cry, like literally cry. And it's like sometimes I was the only person that was listening to her. She felt she wasn't heard.
Yeah.
She was alienated by her. She felt alienated by her children. Her children weren't talking to her as well. And then all of her friends had changed. And I've also been through a divorce. I'm in the middle of a second one, unfortunately. So I kind of also could relate that she's got this old life that she knew she had to get out of, but she still had all this guilt and this stuff that's running around for her, and she's trying to make this transition. So she was getting lightheaded, she had brain fog, she couldn't think, she was getting vertigo, and then her body itself was aching, she had a sore back. And then, as I said, she was just emotional. She was always upset. She just, even though she knew the right decision, And so within a short amount of time with the spinal flow technique, and allowing her to allow herself to process what she had to process, what I love is, and it's only just recently, so she's bought her own house. Because she always thought her kids wouldn't want to come. Her son came, and the first thing he said is, "Mum, this is so you. I love it. It's beautiful." It's been really, really positive for her. She's started to create a new community because she's had to move as well. And then she's been able to connect with the people openly that she needs to connect with from her past life while she's creating her new life. Whereas before, she just was really, really lost. One thing that I love about helping, that's why I'm a business called Transcend Healing, like she is now for the first time starting to live a life that she actually really loves, and she's really healing deep down, and her little monkey mind isn't taking over all the time, because it was taking over all the time as well. And she comes in and she's happy and she's jumping around on the table, and she'll share, some amazing things. She's not caught in the grips of the emotion and the grief that she was experiencing. And there was so much anger there as well. She's had to process. So that's probably one of the ones that I just really, she's in her 60s.
Yeah. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah. So I love that I can help somebody on that transition to reconnect, heal their past, and then create and launch into a new future. Where she's actually really all on her own now, but she's the happiest she's ever been.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
And
so now I have sort of two camps of people who come on Kokoon when I bring up the topic of goal setting. So some people are more like, well, I like to go with the flow and see what the universe presents me during the year. And then there's other people who are like, no, I'm a goal setter. This is how I approach it. And then some people are a bit of both. So what camp are you in? And if you are a goal setter, what are your key goals for 2024?
So I am a goal setter. I actually think of it like a ship. If you're on a ship and you do not know where you're going, you will literally float out to sea, and who knows where you'll be, right? So you do need to have an intention for yourself of what you're wanting to do. So I always have an intention of being better and learning more, and so that I can also give more. So that's always about personal development of some sort. So I've got a couple of things lined up this year that I'm enhancing my skills, but it's always about me first, so that I can then help everybody else be more. So yeah, a couple of different things I could share about that. And this is so exciting, I've been looking for my own clinic space for well over 18 months, and I've just moved into my new clinic space because I want to help more people. So my goal this year is to really get myself grounded in that space and be able to help more people so that they can live more of their life. But by them doing that means that I can then live more of my life, because I've had a few, I think I mentioned that I'm in the middle of a separation at the moment. So there's been some financial challenges for me over the last 18 months as I'm moving through that. So inside of that, I want to have more financial stability and freedom. So by me helping and growing my business and making more people, I will start to do that. So it's kind of, I've got them, you know, they're coupled together and they're sort of related. They're also independent, right? And I've got to look at them independently. Yeah.
Isn't it? It's a win-win. So your clients win and you win. That's
exactly.
They're the best. They're the best goals when it's a win-win. So
it is. And then we've talked about more balance. So I'm always working on my balance, but this year I have, it's like I've set my bar a little bit higher and said, no, Ange, you've got to do more, and I've got to be putting, like I always tell my clients, it's very important, you've got to put you first. Because there's the analogy of if you're in the water and you're drowning and you don't save you first, you can't save anybody else. And that is just actually true. That's what life's about. If you're not taking care of you, it doesn't matter how much you try to, it's kind of you're floundering and you can't actually help people to their utmost. So I've taken on even more about understanding on how to have even better balance than I've ever had before, because I still, like last year in particular, I still felt like it was a very big roller coaster. I feel like, oh my God, now I've got to bring myself out again, and then I'm good, and then I'm down. I want that to be not so deep. I want it to feel like it's a bit more flowing and calm, because life happens. Life isn't going to go away. There's always ups and downs. But my goal this year is to have it feel like it's not such a big drop, so that it feels like I'm able to be on top of it better and work out, you know, how do I have that be a more calm ocean rather than a crazy, you know, stormy ocean.
Yeah. And that sort of brings on to our final question that I had for you, because I think you've just answered it with your last question about your goals for the year. And that question was, what advice would you give to others working in the industry, particularly those who are just starting out? Because from my discussions with sort of newer practitioners is that, you know, they're so enthusiastic, and they just want to help everyone and also build their business. So take on as many clients as they can to build it up. But it's often can be to the own detriment of their own health. So what advice would you give to them, to people particularly starting out in the wellness industry, about how to avoid burning out?
Yeah, so it's a practice, and the founder of the spinal flow technique really drums this into us, and it's perfect. So it's about making sure you've carved time for everything. So a lot of practitioners, like you said, will go out there and just go, well, I'll just, you know, well, they want to book in at 11, so I'll book them in at 11. And then you work with their time. So don't be afraid. And I've done it from the beginning. People often ask me, why are my hours 9 till 12 and then I'm not open again till 3 till 6? And I'm like, because that's what works for me energetically. And then in the middle of the day, I've got usually business stuff that I'm doing. But I'm very clear on my days when I'm with my clients. They are a schedule that works for me. And I trust that the clients that need to see me will fit into that schedule. And it can take a bit of practice for you to get there, but it really is important, because otherwise it nudges, you know, or, you know, if you're a mom, it'll nudge into time with your kids, you know, or your husband or whatever, and it doesn't work. It really doesn't work, and you get resentful and they get resentful. So that's the first thing, making sure you're very, very clear and keeping some boundaries around that. And you can change as you go, but it's like, make sure that you're kind of sticking to that. You've got to allocate your personal time. You have to. It's like make a date with yourself.
Yeah.
Go to the gym, go for a walk, take myself out to lunch, whatever it is, you've got to create that time. And then you also need, and I was thinking about this actually, because business people, we like to network, but I'm going to tell everybody it's not socializing. So when you're at a networking event, yes, you might make some friends, but you are really on business. You've got to make sure that you have your social time as well. So that is whoever your dear friends are. For me, I've got some really lovely girlfriends that I'll catch up. We might have a dinner or something or whatever. And that's my social time where I'm connecting and allowing myself to be, you know, loved, and vice versa with somebody who's really dear to me. So that's really important as well. So that balance, they're the three things, and they're the things that if you start to neglect them, you know, and I've seen it in my relationship, because my ex has got a business as well. If you're not doing that, it really impacts your life, quality of your sleep, your communication, how you feel. So that's the advice I would give, is you've got to really be, from the beginning, start setting a structure like that. You will be thankful, because when I knew I needed to do it, and when I didn't do it was when I would then get really overwhelmed and things got neglected. My health got neglected, my relationship, everything got neglected. It doesn't work. Yeah.
Great advice. And it's easy to forget. So thank you for reminding me as well. You know, so
work in progress.
And so that brings us to the end of our episode. Do you have any final words before we wrap up?
Well, I would like to share the opening of my new clinic, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to help so many people on the Sunshine Coast with spinal flow. So I've got an open day for my clinic on the 16th of March for the public to come and learn about spinal flow, and to come and see my clinic, come and see me, and meet a couple other practitioners that practice spinal flow as well. And experience. I've got some little tasters, so you can experience a little taste of spinal flow. That's one thing I did want to share, because obviously I'm very passionate about making a difference to the community, and of course it's one of my goals we've shared. So that's one thing I would like to share, and just go and find what you love and work out how to share it. Like, really work out how to share what it is that you love, so that when you do your day, it is who you are, and you're not forced to do something that's not true to you.
That's great. That's a great closing statement. Be true to yourself. So thank you so much, Angela, and thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next month for our next episode of Kokoon. So thank you so much.
Thanks.